So with 4.3.12, now we really can get to the nuts and bolts of subprograms or methods in Java. And so we are right now getting away from the topic 4 focus and getting on to more of the what you'll need for OOP and what you'll need for your IA, actual learning of programming of methods. So we'll do a new one. Did I restart that? Yeah. So back to this one. There's one method, the main method, and from it we're going to call other methods. So let's just for now call method 1 and method 2 and method 3, which aren't created yet. So I'll go and create them right now. So you need static because we're going to be calling this from a static context, so we do need the word static. We need something here, and for now void, and I will explain this in this video. And then you need the name. So these are the three things that you need when you are creating a method. Static, if indeed it is being called from a static context. Its return type, you've heard that for the first time now, and its name. Open close parentheses. Whenever you see an open and close parentheses, that indicates either the creation of a method or the calling of a method, right? There's the calling of the method, and here is the creation of the method. We haven't really created anything yet, but let's go ahead and do that right now. And then the other thing that you need is the open and closed brace for the block that is that method. So getting rid of our errors for now, because we don't have those two methods created yet, we can run this and just see that even though in the main method, which is what runs as soon as you run a Java program, even though there is no SOUT in it, there's no printing of anything, it's calling a method which does print, and so we do see this. So in terms of the lines that are called, we get into the class, we find the main method, line 17 executes, and after line 17 we go directly down to line 18. But now the flow of control is controlled by method call. We had seen flow of control jumping around to different lines by conditional blocks and by loops, which repeats the same lines again and again and again. Now we're seeing flow of control, in other words, going from one line to another through method calling. So to go back again, start at line 17, go to line 18, which finds method 1, which is at line 23, and gets in and executes line 24, goes down to the end of it, and then jumps back, and then there's nothing. We could put something there, and we might as well do that right now. SOUT after the called method 1. And why don't we do before as well? So now the lines as they execute are 17, 18, 19, 19 jumps to 25, we do 26, and we do go down to 28. We come back, we will have finished the call to method 1, and then we continue on with line 20, and we end with line 23. So we'll get before the call to method 1, this is method 1, after the call to method 1. I should show you now this as well to get this whole idea of static out of the way. What if we had a method down here called void method, or just, how about this? There, method. And yet another method down here. Notice that I don't have static and there's no problem. And here I'm going to call yet there method. All right. If I got rid of the static here, let's get this static business sorted out, there would be an issue because method 1 is called from a static context, from a method which is static. So it also has to be static. Neither of these are being called from a static context. This is calling that, and that then gets called from that, but it's not static, so this doesn't have to be static. But and there will be times you're going to see fairly shortly where we won't be using the main method. We'll be using, well, we get into graphical user interfaces and so on, so just be patient for now. For now, pretty well all of our methods will have to be static because the main method has to be static. And I'll explain this right now. We'll get back to another day. It's not all that important, but there can only be one main method. Just like on websites, there can only be one index. When you go to the home page of CNN or BBC, they have one index that you go to, bbc.co.uk. That's the index file, right? Same thing in a program. A program, like all these programs, every one of these programs has one main method. It may not be programmed in Java, it may be called something slightly different, but there will be one method which starts the program, right? Launch Word goes to some main programming method which calls other methods. There can only be one, there can't be two. Because if there were two, when I clicked on Word, it wouldn't know which main to run. There can only be one of them. And static, the word static assures that there can be only one main. That's all. So since it has to be only one, and therefore it is static, everything else can only have one copy of itself too. So that was probably more than you wanted, but people are always asking about static. It's not that big of a deal. You just need it. If the method which calls another method is static, that method too has to be static. And frankly, since we only have the main method here, these are just sitting useless, right? We can't use these. If I go up here and I try to call another method, can't do it. Can't do it because it's not static, so I've got to make it static. So anything that I'm going to use for the next month or so anyway for you guys will be static, which is one of the reasons why, by the way, and then that'll have to be static. I quite often forget to put it there because once you get beyond this stage of programming into graphic user interfaces, you don't have to have things static. And anyway, more on that later. So, well, let's see what we would have then. 17 goes to 18, we get that. Goes to 19, method 1. 26, 27, prints out this is method 1. Finish that, print out after the call in method 1. Comment it out, another method. So jumps down from line 23 to line 31. Calls yet another method, doesn't print out anything, but it calls another method. It goes to line 35, and line 36, prints that out. So that's going to be the last thing that we will see printed. So that gives you an idea of how methods can call other methods and what static is all about. So the 2 videos is turned into 3, is turned into 4. I'll do one last video on this, which is the return type, and this, which are arguments / parameters, up next.